If somebody is trying to harm you, then you have absolutely every right to defend yourself by whatever means are necessary. The idea is defend yourself, defend your family, defend your loved ones, but do not harm anyone else or try to take away their right to defend themselves. 4 years ago, after the 2020 census, Texas, because of its population boom, was required to redraw its congressional districts. As a result, there was also redrawing of state districts and everything. And the area where I moved into was a completely new district. So District 57 had no representation whatsoever. It was left over from the previous election. And so I figured at that point, it would be worthwhile to at least try my hand to get at the state level. At that point, there was just me and my Republican opponent. Now, obviously he won because I'm at my office and not down in Austin. But the contest allowed me to get about 34% of the vote. Yeah, that's actually really good, especially since there was no Democrat running. So they either voted for me or against him. So, but I've been watching the incumbent for the last couple of years, trying to see, what he's doing and how he's doing it and so on. And it just seems to me that he's not representing the liberty and the freedom of the district, the voters here in the district, or the residents here in the district. So I figured I'd throw my hat in again. So first and foremost would be individual liberty. As a libertarian, it's in the name. We believe that every individual should be empowered to make their own choices without any unnecessary bureaucratic entanglements. We want to try and get the government out of your life. We envision a Texas where every individual can thrive without the heavy hand of government dictating choices. Government should serve as a protector of individual rights rather than a curtailer of freedoms, so we advocate for criminal justice reforms that emphasize rehabilitation over punishment, safeguard privacy rights in an increasingly digital world, and ensuring that our freedom of speech remains uncompromised. The second one, I think, would probably be personal responsibility and accountability. Now, regardless of who you are or your station in life, individuals should be free to make their own choices and face the consequences of those choices without government intervention. And this especially includes government officials, like me, if I were elected, who should be answerable to all of the constituents, not just the ones who voted for him, and whose decisions should be made with the utmost integrity. And I'm hoping that, because obviously I don't have the kind of funding that my counterparts have through their parties, that what I'm saying and how I'm getting it out, like with this particular interview, it is going to resonate with people, hopefully with people in my district, but with people altogether. Public education here in Texas is a really big issue because, well, one, we're huge. Texas is huge, and nobody denies that, but that makes our education policies a little bit confusing because we have areas of very large populations and very dense populations and areas very, very sparse populations. So just like some things won't work in California or New York, if they work here in Texas and vice versa, the methods that one school district may be doing it may not work for another. And there's these unfunded mandates that you're going to hear about all the time, do more harm than good. From a personal perspective, having gone through the education system here in Texas many, many, many years ago, it's been consistently recognized that the quality of education here in Texas can be a problem. But one answer that I believe is not more state control, but innovation. Now, given the amount of government funding we spend on education here in Texas, the expenditure doesn't seem to translate adequately to prepared students capable of finding a job. The school districts, in my opinion, need more freedom to set their own academic and expectational curriculum to meet the needs of the people who are most affected by the institution, and that's the students. Let the teachers teach. Absolutely. If we want real solutions to the issues that we have with our education system in Texas, then let's get the government out of the classrooms and let the teachers actually teach our students instead of being their babysitters. Here in Texas, there's all of the healthcare issues. Again, because we're so huge, it's difficult to say, oh, this will work over here, so it should work everywhere, but it doesn't. And so we strongly, as libertarians, we strongly support the right to privacy in our healthcare decisions. The decision should be made between the person and their doctors. Government should have no reason to delve into that particular area. Now, again, we also, as taking into account our stand on personal responsibility, we encourage everybody to take care of themselves, proper nutrition, exercise, all of that. But if we're injured or unwell, we should be able to receive the necessary medical care. Now, that sets up something of a conflict between, we want health care, but we want the ability to choose for ourselves. And so we're still working on that particular idea. At least I am. One of the things that you're going to find out about libertarians is that we really don't like the idea of mandates. If it can be even theoretically considered a mandate, we will probably be against it, because our opinion is that mandates are an affront to personal liberty and your ability to choose for yourselves whether or not you want to participate. Yeah, we really didn't like the whole ACA idea. I mean, we thought it was a good idea for part of it, but that mandate to you have to be part of it was something that really tweaked us badly. Just like most people, we believe as libertarians that our borders should be protected from any entity that tries to harm us. But we don't support the classifying of undocumented immigrants as criminals. Now, we believe that all people who come to the United States, regardless of their method of arrival, should be treated with dignity and respect, and that immigration reforms should focus on the humanity of the immigrants, whether they're documented or undocumented. So if we want immigrants to come to the United States through legal channels, then we need to make those reforms for immigration. We need to make those legal channels fair, reasonable, and more accessible to immigrants. It seems to me that, especially here in Texas, and especially with the few people who are allowed to step up to the microphone. So as far as border security, most of the people, the politicians who are standing up, I think are using it as a red herring, something that's intended to be misleading or distracting. And they're going about it like they're trying to scare everybody with their Hannibal is at the gates narrative. This is something that Romans used to tell their children to make them behave. But the implication that politicians here in Texas are using that for is that they're implying that, the howling hordes of Carthage are already on their way to take your jobs, leaving you and your family homeless and running around, wandering the mean streets of Rome. Or that the heathen Carthaginians are going to come and raid and burn your home, stealing all of your belongings and carry your children to be sold into slavery, but only after they kill you in your sleep, using methods too macabre to relate to a good Christian audience. Now, obviously, none of that is true, but it seems to me that that is the way that they are trying to present it, so that the fear narrative that they're using will help propel them into office. The place where I am, I'm outside of Dallas, Texas. And so I'm a good 800 miles away from the border. And there are at least 2 or 3 very large cities, not to mention all the smaller cities, in between us and the border. So how likely is it really going to be that they are going to come 800 miles to my area and focus on my area that they want to take over and burn or rape and pillage and loot and all the rest? So it to me, it doesn't make any sense that they're trying to do that. Getting into office would be the first thing, because I think just that alone might have a lot of people sit up and say, okay, this is a good thing. We're going to give you a chance. Let's see what you do with it. Even if it's just with the curiosity of looking at a bug through a microphone or a magnifying glass. But one change that I think would help all Texans would be to alter the method that Texas uses to count electoral votes, to do something more equally distributive than the current winner-take-all system. If the candidate wins the state, they get all 40 of Texas's electoral votes, which, in my opinion, disenfranchises a good part of the state. So changing it to something that would be more equally distributive would be for one of my first things. One of the other things that there are a few vice and morality laws that I'd like to take a shred or two, but one really big one would be to repeal the abortion ban here in Texas. In my opinion, it's caused more negative issues with women's health than anything it was intended to help. I mean, there are a few other issues that I'd like to take a hand at, but those are a couple of the big ones. Yeah, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, all of the First Amendment stuff. But then the Second Amendment is the idea of being able to, if you look at it with all, if you get down to, as I said on my website, if you get down to the flint and powder of it, full pun intended, then it's all about self-defense. And as libertarians, we are big on self-defense. Now, we don't believe that everybody should be able to own their own nuclear bombs, but the idea is if somebody starts to physically harm you, I mean, it's about physical harm. It's not about, they called you names and so you're going to get back at them. No, it's about physical. If somebody is trying to harm you, then you have absolutely every right to defend yourself by whatever means are necessary. I mean, granted, that takes a little bit of a balance. Like if they're coming at you with a knife, and you don't get to take them out with an AR-15 at 500 yards, which I could do. But the idea is defend yourself, defend your family, defend your loved ones, but do not harm anyone else or try to take away their right to defend themselves. As a libertarian candidate, and you're going to see this with a lot of alternate party or independent candidates, I have to confess that I have a grossly unfair advantage over my counterparts, because I already know that the possibility of my winning the election is really very low. So I have nothing to gain by lying or telling people what they want to hear in order to secure their vote. At the same time, I have nothing to lose by telling the truth as libertarians see it. And one thing that you can easily realize by anyone about libertarians is that we don't go to college to become career politicians. If we did, it's unlikely that we would be libertarians. And in the end, the voters of District 57 will either vote for me or they won't. Either way, it's their vote and no one else's. And so I encourage every voter, no matter where you are, to vote for the candidate that you choose using whatever criteria means the most to you. Because we are the candidates, you are the voter, and we should have to earn your vote.